Hi, family. Um, my father died a few weeks ago, and I want to tell the story of his passing because God involved himself in it, and I'm really grateful that he did. And many people were praying, so I want everyone to know what happened. My father was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago, which he successfully fought off with a combination of chemotherapy and his own very strong, stubborn self will. And then he was cancer free for quite a while. In December and January of this past winter, he was hospitalized twice for things that were not related to the cancer. But over the course of those hospitalizations, they did some testing and discovered that the cancer had returned and that it was spreading. So by the time those two hospitalizations were done, February came, he was too weak to start a course of chemo. So they told him, you go home, we'll put you on hospice care, and we'll see how things develop. So we got a hospital bed into the living room of my parents' house, and he stayed there. We discussed, future plans, and his future plan was to fight the cancer and kick its butt a second time, which we all believed was eminently possible, knowing him the way that he is. So that situation stayed that way for a couple of weeks. I went back and forth to Sierra Vista, helping and visiting, and I happened to be in Tucson at home the morning of the 19th of February. My mother called and she said, "Your father has gotten significantly worse overnight. You need to come." So I threw some clothes in the car and started driving down to Sierra Vista. And as I did, I was praying because my parents, although they both went to church when they were children, neither of them has had any kind of relationship with God in all of their lives. As I grew up, there was no Bible reading, no church attendance, no references to trusting in God or anything like that. Even as I was an adult and I got saved when I was like 23, um, there were no open doors even for me to talk to them about my faith. Uh, they were never interested in those kind of things. So I prayed about that on my way down, that I would have an opportunity to talk to my father about Jesus because I didn't know if he was going to die at that point. So on the trip, God reminded me of a great many impossible prayers that I had prayed that he had already answered. So by the time I got down there, I was feeling like, yeah, I remember who you are, Lord. You're in control of all of this. So that was good. But then when I got there, I discovered that I couldn't have a conversation with my father about anything because he was not conscious. He was, for all intents and purposes, he was sleeping, and it was a very, very tense and stressful situation. We had medical people coming in and out. They wanted my mother to be making decisions that she didn't know what was the best thing to do. My dad was having some symptoms that required constant attention, and it was just really, really hard. And of course, he couldn't communicate at all, so it was terrible. I was there all day, and in the afternoon, um, I went. I took my mother into the bedroom, and I said, "Listen, I need God's help with this. I believe that if I pray, He will come here and do something for us, and we need Him. And if you're not comfortable praying with me, that's okay. You can leave the room, but I'm gonna sit here and pray because I really need God to come in and do something." And she said, "No, that's fine. I'll stay here with you, and you can pray." So she sat on the bed, and I knelt on the floor next to the bed, and I started to pray. And I honestly don't remember most of what I said. Um, I remember a couple of things. I remember saying to God, I know that you can communicate with my dad because you talk to the dead and they hear you, right? So, my father's still alive. This is obviously not a problem for you. I can't talk to him about Jesus, but you can make yourself known. You can let him know that you're real, and that if he's going into eternity at this point, that he's going to encounter you there, and he needs his sins to be forgiven, and you made a provision for that. You're able to communicate that to him. You're also able to heal him and, take away this cancer in this instant and raise him up from this bed of sickness, or turn the thing and make it go in the positive direction that he heals. And all of these things are subject to your will. I have no idea what your plan is, but we need you here, Lord. We need your presence. We need your peace. This situation is nuts. It's too much for us. I can't handle it. My mom can't handle it. We really need your help. Excuse me. And I know that I prayed specifically. I remember specifically praying that God would take my father into his two hands and do whatever he would with him, and just be in charge of the whole situation. So as I prayed, I felt God. I felt him come into that space, which was just an incredible comfort. And after I prayed and I got up off the floor, the whole atmosphere of the thing had changed completely. I had peace. My mom had peace. My dad was still sleeping. Actually, the thing that happened with him was that his symptoms stopped. Those difficult symptoms that we had to stay on top of completely stopped. So, and other than that, he just continued to sleep. So the afternoon passed peacefully, and about 7:30 in the evening, he passed on. He died. And so I think, the question obviously that people would ask me is like, do you believe that your father's in heaven now that you're going to see him in heaven? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what transpired between him and God, if anything. But I have hope, because there are things that I do know for sure. I know for sure that it is not God's desire that anybody should perish in their sins. I know that. He wants everyone to be saved. He wants everyone to have an opportunity to know him and to receive forgiveness, because he's merciful, and he wants all of us to have eternal life. So I know that. I also know that God has been incredibly gracious and consistent about answering prayer for me over these almost 30 years that I've known him. So I know that he answers my prayers, and I have hope in that, that he answered me this time. And the third thing that I know is that he was there. He was there when my father died. He was there, and I felt his presence, and that is enough. That's enough for me. Those things that I know. And now I need to go see what my husband needs. So thank you for sharing this with me. God bless you.